Alrighty guys, Wes here, welcome back to the channel, and today we are back again talking about Cyberpunk 2077. We are getting down to the wire until the 2.0 update drops for Cyberpunk, as well as the Phantom Liberty expansion on the 26th. And with that, we've got a ton of news and updates to talk about. We have new hands-on impressions and gameplay from somebody that's played the game. The gameplay looks absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to play that. We're also going to talk about when the 2.0 update's going to release, as we just got some new comments from the community director that gives us an idea on when that update's going to drop. So we're going to talk about that and so much more, so check the video chapters to optimize your viewing experience. And without further delay, let's get into it. So before we go into the actual gameplay and first impressions of the 2.0 update, first we have some new lore from the Cyberpunk Twitter that gave us some pretty good insight regarding Kurt's sanctuary. So the post says this, and I quote, "Kurt's sanctuary. Kurt's not the bloodthirsty warlord folks like to think. Kurt is a natural born leader, a shrewd operator, and he's revered by his crew. Once upon a time, he got left in the lurch by his former employer, so he flipped the script, set up shop in Pacifica's inner sanctum, used his savvy on wartime hustling to hammer out his own destiny. Now business is booming for better or worse. Want to cut a deal with the devil? Go ahead, just don't cry foul when you can't handle the heat." So yeah, as you can see on the screen, we've got Kurt's sanctuary. It all looks really cool in the concept art. And can I just say that I really like the way that they're marketing this expansion? Not only are they able to show off concept art, which I assume is from the earlier stages of development, but they're also giving us some backstory from that concept art. I can't wait to jump in game and see the differences between the concept art as well as the place in the game itself. So now let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of this video, and that is the brand new gameplay of the Cyberpunk 2.0 update. In the post it says this: "Experience Night City like never before, more action, more possibilities, more combat options. Take a closer look at some of the new / changed features coming very soon with the 2.0 update or Phantom Liberty, starting with the weapons. Lots and lots of weapons. Thank you to Much118 for capturing such epic combat footage." So yeah, as you guys can see right here, this is the new gameplay of the 2.0 update, and just the overall vibe and fluidity of this new update looks like it's so much better than before. Whenever the developers said that they basically left no stone unturned with this new 2.0 update, they really meant that, and you could clearly see that with this gameplay. We've got new vehicle combat, we've got some of the new features and abilities in the game that will be a part of the Phantom Liberty update. And speaking of that, we've got new locations in Dogtown that we've never seen before in this footage. We've got some epic finishers and takedowns, a first look at some of the new relic abilities, and just overall a bunch of mayhem in the 2.0 update that will ensue once it officially releases. But we'll talk more about the release date in just a bit, because we have some new hands-on impressions to go over from the person that created this video. Well, they went to Twitter and gave their first impressions and their thoughts on the 2.0 update, as well as the rest of the content that's being added. So for those of you that are still on the fence about spending more money on Cyberpunk, maybe this will give you guys a little bit of closure on whether or not you should spend money on Phantom Liberty, or you should just try out the 2.0 update. Well, according to Much118x, the person who made this epic montage, they said on Twitter, "Really awesome to share that I have been freelancing with CDPR again for Phantom Liberty and the 2.0 update. It's so gosh dang good, and I'm thankful to CDPR for the opportunity once more." So you guys can kind of take that as you will. Obviously, this person worked with CDPR to make this video. It is possible that they didn't have full creative control on the video edit. My guess is they probably did, because literally anything that Much118 touches turns to gold. They were probably limited by some things, like not being able to show any story stuff, and to keep the trailer just specifically focused on the new update as well as Phantom Liberty locations. And they did. Now, you could take what they say at face value. You could say that, they're working with CDPR, so I'm not going to trust it. But just look at all of the footage yourself. Like, everything that we've seen so far looks incredible. Now, you could say that, yeah, Cyberpunk 2077's first launch looked incredible as well, and it ended up not being the case. But we've seen raw gameplay during the Red Stream events, and even that looked really good whenever the developers were in charge of the gameplay. And now we've got this freelancer who did an epic montage showing off new gameplay stuff. I will quit gaming entirely if the 2.0 update and Phantom Liberty does not live up to our expectations. So here's to hoping it will, because I'm looking forward to a lot of games in 2024. Next up, we've got a new cryptic tweet from the global PR director over at CDPR, and they said this on Twitter, and I quote, "I'm plain redacted, and my impressions are redacted." So unless Radek is playing something else, like let's say the new Witcher game, I would assume that this means that they're playing Phantom Liberty and their impressions are pretty good, because if it wasn't, then they probably wouldn't tweet this out. So with all of this talk about the Cyberpunk 2.0 update and Phantom Liberty, the question still remains that I think everyone is wondering, and that is, when is the release date for the Cyberpunk 2.0 update? Let's be honest, guys, we've been waiting for 1.7, or rather 2.0 now, for literally forever at this point. And now that we are finally down to the wire, the month where we're gonna get the Phantom Liberty expansion, we finally have a time frame of when it's releasing, but we just don't have the exact date. I do have a bit of speculation on when I think the release date will be, but more on that in just a second. So first, we have to turn to a fan question that the community director was asked, and the question was simply asked, "When can we expect update 2.0, please?" To which the community director said this, and I quote, "We should be able to share details about the 2.0 release date next week. Thank you for your patience." To which somebody in that same thread asked the question, "Will it be possible to respec attributes?" To which the director director said, yes, there will be a one-time opportunity to do that. So yeah, there you have it, guys. This week is the week we will find out when the 2.0 update is releasing. So now let's do a little bit of speculation, the fun stuff. Well, first and foremost, we know that the Phantom Liberty update will release on September 26th, and it's basically implied that the 2.0 update will release before that. Well, if we're getting news about the 2.0 update this week, my best guess on when the update's going to release is either on Friday the 15th or Tuesday the 12th. And for some reason, I've got this funny feeling that they're just going to announce the 2.0 update and just hot drop it randomly. Now, it also could be a situation where the 2.0 update drops like a few days before the 26th, which is a possibility. Now, it also could happen the day before the 26th, which would be a nightmare, especially if you guys are going to do like me and just replay the game again on a different save. That way you can experience the 2.0 update in all of its glory and then start with Phantom Liberty once it drops on the 26th. I just really hope that the developers give us ample time to play through the game again and drop the update this week. That way we've got about 2.5 weeks to play through the game and get to the point where Phantom Liberty starts. Now that brings us to our next topic of discussion, and that is, should you wait to play Phantom Liberty to play Cyberpunk 2077, or should you wait until the 2.0 update to experience Cyberpunk 2077 the first time? So what I will say is this: either way you experience Cyberpunk 2077 in its current form or with the 2.0 update, you're going to experience an exhilarating game that is really fun with character stories that are some of the best that I've experienced in all of gaming. But if you've never played Cyberpunk at this point, I would say it's best to wait until the 2.0 update, because the 2.0 update is about to overhaul literally everything like we just talked about. I would say if you want to experience both, maybe you just play Cyberpunk now, get through the prologue. That way, whenever the 2.0 update comes out, you could start another character, play through the prologue again, and kind of see the differences between the two games. And then once you see the difference, then you could go on your character that you started before and then continue your playthrough on the 2.0 update until you get to the point of Phantom Liberty. Now, if you've played through Cyberpunk before, I would still say that it's best to play through the game again with a 2.0 update just to kind of experience everything new. The skill tree has been completely reworked, and from everything that we've seen and heard, it's going to be just a better experience that way. So for that, I would still say to play through the 2.0 update and just play through the entire game again, get to the point of Phantom Liberty, and then start that expansion. So that way you're kind of refreshed with the entire game world of Cyberpunk, and then you get to experience an entirely new area with Dogtown with the new expansion. So basically what I'm saying, without any context of the 2.0 update or Phantom Liberty's expansion, play the game again because it's amazing. If you're a Cyberpunk veteran and you've played through the game a couple of times, I would say just jump in again, maybe do a different build this time, and just experience the glory of this video game. It's going to be quite some time until the next Cyberpunk game, so you might as well get as much content out of this game as possible. So I think another replay is warranted, especially with how big this update is. So now this part of the video, I'm going to be talking about one of the boss fights in Cyberpunk 2077's base game. So if you guys have played through Cyberpunk, I would say continue with this chapter. If you haven't, I would say check out the next chapter, but let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the biggest discussions and topics regarding Cyberpunk's 2.0 update is in regards to the Atom Smasher fight in Cyberpunk's base game. So I'd like to reference this Reddit thread right here because I think this user has a good point. The post says this, and I quote, "It's not just about Atom Smasher being weak, this fight needs a complete rework." So the post says this, and I quote, "I don't know what the community thinks about this, but I think it's not really just about Smasher's power or combat style changing. Atom Smasher is the literal final boss in the game, and it kind of bothers me that we fight like the typical Cyber Psycho missions. In my opinion, the Smasher will not make us satisfied if he dies with a 50 sword swings instead of 30, or if he deals 300 damage instead of 200. Since it's the final boss, it needs to be more cinematic, more event triggers. I don't know if it would be a good example of this, but I watched the final boss fight of God of War 2018 on YouTube. You know, that healing immortal guy, which he's of course talking about Baldur. But as you fight, new events are triggered and the places change. A giant snake comes from there. The mother of our enemy cries not to kill my son." They're talking about Freya. They continue by saying, "I mean, the war doesn't end all at once. The enemy is more alive. Regardless of whether your character is strong or not, the fight lasts much longer." And they ended by saying Atom Smasher also needs a longer, gradual final battle that makes him look stronger. So yeah, I kind of agree with this Reddit user. Like, whenever I first played Cyberpunk 2077 and I got to the Atom Smasher fight and then I killed Atom Smasher, whenever everything was done, I was like, is that what I just experienced? Like, what just happened? It was a pretty easy boss fight. Like, it wasn't super difficult. So yeah, I definitely think a rework needs to happen. Whether or not it needs to be on the level of like God of War 2018, I kind of doubt that, but as long as it's updated, maybe make things a little bit more cinematic would be cool. But we will have to wait and see if the 2.0 update does a reworked Atom Smasher or not, but only time will tell. The excitement for the 2.0 update and Phantom Liberty is real, and I cannot wait to experience it once we get those new details. And here's to hoping we get the release date sometime this week, so we have plenty of time to play the game again. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. Catch my live stream over on twitch.tv/WesNemo, where I will be playing Cyberpunk again, as well as some other games like Spider-Man PS5, Starfield, and a bunch of other variety. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my coverage, do me a favor, leave a like, subscribe with your notifications turned on, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.